So this is the Jeep 4xe, a one-of-a-kind electric-ish experience that I got to try out for the first time, and I know it's been out for a while, but for me, I wanted to see what it was like to drive this thing, and my impressions were mixed, to say the least. I was a little excited because back in the 90s, I used to have a Jeep, and these things are unique in so many ways, and so I wanted to see what an electric one would look like. Let's walk through this together, and I'll let you know what I think as we go through all-American vehicle that I think really needs to be electrified. I'll tell you what I liked, what I love, and what I think really needs to be improved in order for this thing to really be something that I could enjoy as an enthusiast of electrification. Let's get into it. So let's start with why I love Jeeps. One of the greatest things about them is how transformative they can be with your needs. So I love that in this case, you've got this hardtop with these roll bars, and you can remove this thing and suddenly transform it to where you can be driving down Pacific Coast Highway or up into the hills and just enjoy the wind through your hair, maybe not my hair, but just get to have an absolute great time out in the dunes and towing a boat or going out fishing or through the trails and having a great time. And then you throw the top back on, and this whole area here, you can have the seats go down, and there's just so much that you can do with this space. Let's flip this around here, and I'm going to show you. I just think this is such a cool design where back here you can still have room for the kids, and on the weekends you can have just so much fun. You've got your speakers here, and look at this top. In this area, this can come off, but now let's go to the front, and you've almost got this T-top idea here for the driver's seat where these two pieces come off, right? One on the left and one on the right. So these come off, and then the back comes off, and man, what a cool time. And maybe the Bronco is the only other vehicle that does that, but that's such a larger vehicle. I just think that that is that amazing quintessential Jeep experience. You can do so much with it here. As we button it up, you've got all your traditional things like your spare tire. As you go around it, you have your areas where you can attach rock sliders. Now this one doesn't have all-terrain tires. This is really meant for the street, but what I appreciate is it's got all of the character of a Jeep. Now, it is trail rated. Keep in mind, that's just a marketing term made up by Jeep, so all it really means is that it's a Jeep, because Jeep is the only one that's trail rated because it's their trademark. But at the end of the day, these things are just fun to drive, and it reminds me of going down the road when I had a Jeep, and so I want to find out, are they still fun to drive as an electric? Does it have all of the powertrain and acceleration of an electric, but you get to have the fun form factor of a Jeep? Now, the way that this thing is set up is as a plug-in hybrid, and it's got a J1 772 right here on the front. So you click this, and inside here, this is where you would plug in. It can also use the 4-cylinder engine to recharge the battery as well, or of course you can go off the gas. Me, I would want to go just pure electric, and that's where one of the first flaws comes in. The battery here is so small that you're only going to get about 20-25 miles of range. So for me, I can get from my house to work and probably back home again, but I really can't stop anywhere in between. I can make it from my house to San Jose, but I'm not going to make it back home unless I have somewhere to plug in. Of course, the motor would then be able to recharge that and help it along the way. But I think this is the first thing that kind of is a big red flag for me. And really, with most of these plug-in hybrids, it just doesn't have a big enough electric battery. This is screaming for what China has, which is an EREV. So, big thing here is I just love the look. I love the form factor. One of the things that I also love is that it's still durable and solid. It feels like a Jeep. When you take this door, which is removable, by the way, and so again, I just appreciate that they have kept and maintained the character of a Jeep. But when you feel this door, it feels hefty and sturdy. When I close it, it clunks and feels like a Jeep. When I take something like a Bronco Sport, it feels light. It doesn't feel substantial. It feels very tin can-ish. So this still feels like a compact off-road vehicle that I would enjoy without feeling cheap, if that makes sense. Now let's get into it and let's experience what it is like to drive it. Okay, first thing, for better or for worse, it does have a start button, which I know for a lot of people is not necessary in an electric vehicle. It has a lot of familiar things. So it's got a old school emergency brake. It also has a shifter, which I can't really criticize. The Ford Lightning has a shifter, but again, it's got this kind of, pull it in, head down to the drive. So this will feel very familiar for any Jeep owners. It even has your shifter here to go into four-wheel drive, because keep in mind, it does have a real motor in here. So as I go into the screen, this is a cool little screen, which is going to show your regen, but it's not a full regen, which is something that bothers me, especially for an off-road, trail-rated, capable vehicle. I think that a full one-pedal drive is necessary. And I saw this also with the Ford Escape. You can check out my vehicle review of the Ford Escape that I did, plug-in hybrid. I had the same experience where I just did not get the full one-pedal drive experience. I think that's something that is critical, especially for something that could be off-road, and I'm going to be on a trail. I'm in the streets of San Francisco. I want to be able to be stopped fully, not just have a little bit of regen, but let's see what that looks like. There is no setting for that, by the way. So as we look here, the battery is at, see if I can get rid of that glare. The battery is at 90%, and I'm looking at about 23 miles of range. As soon as I let off of the brake, it immediately starts rolling. So again, that's just a criticism I have. I don't like when it doesn't have a brake hold. I want to be able to have that full one pedal drive experience. So let's get onto the street and just give it a quick feel test and see what it's like. As I come up and let off the brake, it does have a little bit of that regen, and it does slow down, but it won't come to a complete stop. It just is creeping. It's creeping along here in the parking lot. So I do have to use the two pedal method to use the brake and stop completely. Anyway, let's get out onto the street into an area where I can, I'm not going to take it onto the freeway, but I do want to kind of just hear the road noise. And I do want to give it a little bit of an acceleration just to see how that goes and see what this electric drivetrain does. And there are multiple options here. There is an all-electric mode. There is kind of the use the motor to charge the electric. And that one's called eSave. And then there is the hybrid mode. So there's a button for all three. That's just down here on the left-hand side, if we can show you that. See those three options. And so right now we are in hybrid, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch that over to electric and just kind of see if that makes a difference. I've just now switched over to electric, so we should be in all electric mode now. And I'm going to come over to this roundabout and just give myself the opportunity in the straightaway to see what the acceleration is like in all electric mode, because that's really what I'm curious about. I can hear in all electric mode, I can hear the kind of pedestrian sound. I've got a car behind me. I'm also going to see what the turning radius is like. I always like to see that in a car like this. My truck notoriously has a very poor turning radius. So let's see what the turning radius is like here. Can we flip a U-turn in the Jeep? Dun, dun, dun. Yes, we can. Not bad. Definitely not possible in the Ford Lightning. Without that rear wheel steering, I think you would expect that, though. So let's head up to the roundabout here get a little bit of distance, make sure there's nobody around to scare or freak out. This is an area I've used before as kind of a nice little straightaway to get some acceleration. Nothing too insane, right? Just kind of a cool little spot to punch it a little bit and see what it does. So I've just nailed it. Oh, interesting. You can actually hear, man, you can hear that the motor kicked in. So even being on electric mode, the motor kicked in. It wouldn't let me go full electric acceleration. That's interesting. Can't say that I like that. If I'm in electric, I want to be in electric. I want to get the acceleration. Let's say I just wanted to pass somebody. Yeah, man, let me know in the comments if you have experienced the Jeep 4xe and if there's a setting I'm missing. But right now, as soon as I kind of punch the accelerator right now, 1, 2, 3, it took like 2.5 seconds to get any kind of oomph out of the 4xe. As soon as I press the accelerator down, 1, 2, 3, about the 3-second mark, I finally get a little bit of an acceleration. Yeah, and even though these are not all-terrain tires, the road noise, I guess because it's a Jeep and because it doesn't have all of the insulation and stuff that the Lightning has, it still has some decent amount of road noise to it, which is famously something that the Jeeps do have. So I suppose that is not surprising. But yeah, it's got all the fun character of the Jeep, and I would just love to be able to get the fun performance of an electric. So if you're gonna go electric hybrid, one, I think this is where EREV would be perfect. Get a 60 miles, 80 mile range out of it. Still, if you want to have that motor for being off-road and giving yourself the range, I understand it. And then you want to be able to get that acceleration, and I think you want to be able to get the one pedal so that you can have it be just when you're on a big incline or a hill, you can feather the pedal and you can just take the one pedal hold and just deal with that and have an e-locker or a physical locker for that matter. I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys. I'm curious. One, what your experience with this has been, what you think about, man, that total lack of acceleration, what you think about the one pedal as someone that would maybe want to be off-roading. I'm really curious on your thoughts on all of this. I will say that I do enjoy just the form factor of it because so many cars are just boring. The same shape, the same hatchback. They call them SUVs, but they're hatchbacks. And I'm just kind of tired of that same form factor in so many vehicles. So I just enjoy this Jeep form factor and where you can take the top off and do so many fun things with it. I like that. But the performance of this is such a letdown. And the range, again, just 20, 25 miles is just not going to cut it. So I think there's so much potential here on the platform. I really enjoy how durable it feels. There's so much there, I think, to work with. And it's just, and as always, the price on these things, right? Whether it's the Volkswagen ID Buzz and whether it was, the Lightning or so many of these things that are exciting, the pricing just always kind of puts it out of the realm of possibility. So if, if they had LFP batteries so that you could get, charge it to 100%, get that 60 miles of range, get that instant acceleration. Maybe if it was EREV, that's, I think, what my thoughts would be. And definitely I need one pedal drive with a hold and a proper locker on it for off-roading. Those would be my initial thoughts. What are yours? Let's park this thing. Let's get out, do a final walk around, and we will wrap up the video. So I really enjoyed getting to check out this Jeep. I actually appreciated the kind of traditional controls, the manual vents, the shifter, all of the things that make a Jeep what it is are here with the removable doors, the removable roof, all of the cool features and durability that a Jeep should have. What's really missing for me is the performance characteristics that anything that's electric has to have. Without that acceleration, without that one pedal feel, to me, it's a non-starter. But let me know what you think, because out there in the off-road marketplace, we know we have Rivian R2 is taking delivery now to customers, but it is not a Jeep. It doesn't have doors that come off. It doesn't have a roof that comes off. And at the end of the day, that is something that Stellantis could really have its own unique differentiator in the marketplace, especially if they did something that was an EREV. And although I'm not an EREV customer, I do think there is a place for it. So let me know, would you guys drive an EREV? Would you want to drive something that was a Jeep with doors and windows and all that kind of stuff off of the vehicle? Is there a place in your driveway for it? Check out my review of my other hybrid vehicle that I did, again, the Escape. I will leave that linked here at the end of this video. I'd love to know your thoughts, and we will see you on the next one.